I'm back with Elsinore from Splash of Charm.
Hi, James.
Hi. We're going to talk about another amazing kitchen project that you did a little while ago, actually. It's been about
3 years,
3 years, give or take.
maybe 4.
And the owners just were like, yeah, come on over, take a look. So that's what we did. This is awesome. And this is a project that I want to call Happy Little Accidents. Shall we get into why? Or?
She had some help with choosing colors. She had an interior designer, I think a family member, go through the color palette to choose what to put on the walls, the trim, the cabinets, the island. And it was actually, the trim was supposed to be decorator's white, and I chose Balboa Mist for some odd reason. I saw, yeah, that's what it should be, Balboa Mist.
I'm a huge Balboa Mist fan, just saying, but go ahead.
And that's what happened. And so, you know, you paint the first few coats and you're thinking, oh, this looks great. Mm-hmm. This is going to look amazing in her kitchen. And so I didn't think anything of it. Like, we even put everything up. And it was only until after when I said, oh my gosh, it's not white. We offered to redo everything. Mm-hmm. And she says, I kind of like it.
It was the ultimate tester. Like the best tester you could ever get. Yeah.
And ironically, this is one of my favorite, if not the favorite, kitchen that I've ever done. I just love how everything flows. If there's any lessons to be learned here, cool can live with warm. Cool backsplash warm cabinets. Mm-hmm. That's something that I thought you couldn't do, and I would never do until this happened.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting too. It's a very, very good point. And I think, even though this was done 3 years ago, I am seeing more and more people mixing color temperatures, warm and cool neutrals coexisting. It's, I think, maybe not done very often because it could be tricky to accomplish. But when you do it, I think the payoff is really, really huge. It's like a high risk, high reward type of scenario.
Yes, it's something that I don't normally do, mm-hmm. but I have done. So, for example, Chantilly lace.
Yeah.
And I'll do that with some warms. Counters, I don't like to do it, but somehow when the client insists and we do it, it looks great.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about Chantilly lace, I do poo-poo on it quite a bit, but it's not the color's fault, right? It's just white. It's a bright white. It's pretty clean. I just think it can be overused at times, but it doesn't matter. I think what really matters is what the client wants. And sometimes what they don't ask for, but then love anyway.
She asked to sit with it for a few days to see if that's what she wanted. And she had some people over, her mom, her family, and even the designer that originally chose the colors. And I think they all just agreed that this was it.
Amazing.
Originally, initially, it was just for the island. I quoted her on the island. She knew she wanted to have a gray island. So we went with that. And then I didn't hear back from her for a few weeks. And then she decided she wanted to do the whole thing. That also extended into the study area.
And it's all very connected and free-flowing, open space.
Yes. I love the bright lights, but just the simplicity of it.
You know what's great too is I'm a huge fan of off-whites because I feel like there's so many different directions you can take it rather than white, which is kind of just a clean slate, it is what it is type of situation. And it's an interesting take on bright white and navy blue. But in this case, you have off-white and then this really cool slate gray. It's a different flavor of something that maybe you see more often than not. Balboa Mist is a color that I love to use in so many different ways. You don't often see it on cabinets, but I think it works perfectly here. Because you have so much light coming in as well, something like decorator's white might have looked just a bit too stark with all the cabinetry that's here. Too much light reflecting off of it. Balboa Mist has character, it has depth to it, has richness. I couldn't be happier with how it looks. I think it's amazing. And this color here is Flint. Another amazing choice. So this is great. And I think, yeah, one of the lessons that can be learned here is, I guess, be open-minded. Sometimes you can think, oh yeah, I definitely want this, but give it some time to check other options. Maybe options that are better suited for your space and your tastes rather than just something that's recommended. You don't necessarily want to just take it blindly. Put some of your own consideration into it as well. You could be really surprised with the results. And
A lot of people think that when they want a white kitchen, they need to stick to white. And I'm finding more and more that people want the white kitchen, but then choose off-white. It's still considered a white.
yeah, it's very bright, right? As we can see.
It's not the brightest white, but white is white is white. It's off-white, it's brighter than what you had. And I find that when you're choosing off-whites, it's like getting a nice warm hug when you walk into the room.
And it's interesting too, because this is a great example of Balbomis, which is, it's an off-white technically, but you could even call it just a light color. But really, at the end of the day, it's a very, very light neutral, which white is. I mean, it's a neutral canvas color that just sort of doesn't pull focus too much, because then when you change it up with, let's say, the kitchen island or an upper or a lower, whatever you decide to do, it really becomes the focus and it really just accentuates everything. Yeah, this is beautiful. This is your, not to be put you on the spot, but this is your favorite kitchen?
This is my favorite kitchen.
My favorite kitchen.
She didn't even know that.
I love it too. I love it. Everything, the flooring, the nature. Good for them for having this. This is amazing. How do you decide on picking a white?
Picking a white.
Because white is white, but there are obviously a lot of options. So what kind of decision making goes into that? Do you lean on the client in terms of what they want?
I consider myself an expert at choosing white now. Not so much before, but it seems that everybody comes to me because they want a white kitchen.
Of course.
So over time, like I've used some of the same colors, but then I'll rediscover or discover a new one. And I get excited about that because I get to choose a color, work with a color that I can potentially add to my portfolio of colors to draw from.
Yeah.
I usually ask them, do you want warm or do you want cool? And sometimes they don't know what the difference is. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it's true.
So I show them because everything is about visuals in their space. So this usually happens in their space because it might look different somewhere else.
I definitely will.
It
Yeah,
will.
for sure.
And so I usually show them Chantilly, and simply, just to give them a sense of this is a bright white, this is a warmer white. Both bright, but you've got cool and warm, and that's the starting point. Then we kind of move into what do you like? Because a lot of people say, I want to draw out some blues or blue undertone, gray undertone, or I hate yellow. Don't want to see any yellow in there.
Okay, we'll put Simply White to the side, you know,
Right? And,
eliminate it.
And so it usually just goes from a starting point. I just ask leading questions and it just narrows it down to, I like to get to 2. Once we've got 2, then I'll go and get the testers. I usually have them at the shop. I'll paint up 2 boards and they get to keep it in their space for a few days. What's important is that when it is in their space, that they don't have them up at the same time because one influences the other. So they have it up, they stick it on, but not beside the other one because it competes with each other and it just plays. The mind is so weird. As soon as you say there's a pink undertone, all they see is pink. Or blue or whatever it is. So it's so important not to put those words into their minds because then they go, oh, I don't like green. I don't want my kitchen to look green or blue or gray or whatever.
And it's because also the thing you touched on with, it's hard to really define what warm and cool is. I mean, especially to the average person because yellow's warm, but brown can also be warm. Even a red undertone is warm. So it can manifest in so many different ways. But what I love is how right from the get-go, you establish that baseline of like Chantilly Simply White. Bright, warm, which one do you like? Okay, great, we can move on. It's almost like a flow chart where it's like step by step kind of breaking things down. And I think that is such a big part of what I like to tell my audience is to start simple. Don't start with the fan deck. You know,
No.
try and narrow things down as much as you can. Eliminate all the stuff that you probably know is not going to work for you anyway, and then go from there. And I guess picking the ideal white is no different.
No, yeah, it's just a process of elimination.
Very cool. Okay, thank you, Elsinore. This is great.
Thank you, James.
Yeah, and let's go get some footage of this amazing kitchen.
Thank you.